Welcome to Beyond Barriers and Obstacles to Employment. My name is Jerry Flanders, and I am the Workshop Coordinator for CareerSource Citrus Levy Marion. Today we're going to talk about the importance of knowing yourself. That is, knowing the assets you bring to a job opening, but also being aware of the hurdles you may need to overcome in order to get the job offer. When you have barriers or obstacles to employment, getting the job offer often takes more than doing a couple of things right. To impress an employer, you have to stand out in a series of events and activities that demonstrates you've earned the right to be their top candidate. A little bit about me, so you know who you're taking time to listen to today. I've spent much of my professional career as a business owner and then a workforce development professional. My formal education and training, detailed on the slide, focuses on human resources and workforce management. As workshop coordinator for CareerSource Citrus Levy Marion, I've created course material and facilitated workshops for almost 15 years to help job candidates through challenging economic times. For those of you that are just beginning your exploration of our virtual webinars, I want to make you aware of our Navigate Today's Workplace 3-part workshop series. Over the course of these 3 workshops, you'll learn about the changes in the job market, how to create a top resume that will get you noticed, and how to excel at the interview stage of the job search. Before the end of this workshop, you'll understand what's happened to the job market because of COVID-19. I'll discuss some need-to-know employment trends that have evolved in recent years. We'll also examine some of the top obstacles to employment and how to avoid critical mistakes as you market yourself. Lastly, we'll wrap up with a focus on CareerSource CLM resources, including the federal bonding program, and how you can leverage those resources. So let's get started. We all hope that the recent job losses are only temporary and the economy will steadily rebound with more and more individuals returning to their previous work. While that is ideal, it's not likely to work out in all cases. At this point, the competition for jobs will be keener because employers will likely have more job candidates competing for their jobs. As today's unemployment rates closely mirrors the Great Recession rates, we anticipate an employer could receive hundreds of job applications for just one of their positions. More technical positions may result in fewer applications, but the competition will still be intense. In short, there won't be as many jobs being created, and there'll be a lot of job candidates trying to look like an ideal fit. The Great Recession was a game changer for how businesses recruited for their positions. Most jobs went from paper, in-person applications to online applications that often resulted in little to no feedback from the employer. Likely you only heard from the employer if you advanced to the interview phase. Those trends continue today. Your job-specific resume is key to getting past the applicant tracking system, or ATS, which is the automated system that scores your potential fit for an employer's position. If you don't match up to the requirements in the job posting, you will be passed by without a human even reviewing you. In addition, your job-specific resume, strategic cover letter if it's warranted, and the online application provides insight into your computer proficiency, your attention to details, your communication skills, and critical thinking abilities. All of that is even more important in our COVID-19 environment. It's also important that employers understand that you want the job, not just a foot in the door for quick advancement. They want to know that you have done your homework by studying the company and you have a genuine interest in being part of their organization. COVID-19 has taught us all a valuable lesson. Be willing to change or get left behind. Employers don't know what the economic landscape will be like for their business stability in 5 to 10 years. Consequently, that means that they're looking for sharp job candidates who have the ability to come on board and be effective in the position with minimal training. That is what your ideal fit is all about. Not what you can do if trained properly, but what you can do immediately if you're hired. Not only is it important to keep yourself trained, but the way you market those skills can be the deal breaker or the deal maker for an employer. Increasingly, hiring managers are checking out job candidates' social media footprints, largely on Facebook and LinkedIn, to get a sense of how they might fit into their organization. So, HR recruiters will be judging your social media channel's content before they hire you. In recent years, business accounts on all platforms have grown at immense rates as companies use social media to reach out to their internal and external customers and community stakeholders and partners. For job candidates, having a managed digital footprint that is a positive reflection of your skills is essential to standing out from the competition. Also, part of the ideal fit the company is assessing are the soft skills you bring to the table. Your hard skills are essential to illustrating you can perform the duties of the position, but your soft skills are critical to reassuring hiring managers that you can be an effective team member. We'd all love to go back to the good old days where your work history and your personality were enough to get you the job. You can guess by now that those days are well behind us. An employer expects you to know yourself in the context of their position and the company requirements. They look to the job candidate to demonstrate that he or she has the skills, the work history, and education for the job. In short, they expect the job candidate to showcase that fit. They don't have the time to tell you how to fit into their positions. And if you don't come prepared, they'll be off to find the candidate who's figured it out. Knowing what you bring to the table will help in this task. But it can't be complete without an assessment of what you don't bring or what issues could be problematic in the eyes of the HR recruiter. If you know you have one or more issues, then you have to prepare a strategy for addressing those issues if it comes up. If you haven't planned for how to deal with it, you're likely setting yourself up for an awkward moment. Typically, that means that the job offer will go to the candidate who is just as good as you, but was better prepared. Let me identify some areas of concern you want to be aware of when preparing your strategy. Career opportunities that are shrinking. History of self-employment that may not look good on your resume. Formal education, but lacking the strong work experience needed for the position. Or the strong work experience, but lacking the formal education required for the position. All shows an employer that you may have a long way to go. Also, job applicants who may be viewed as overqualified for available positions, or are older than the competition, or have good work experience but minimal computer skills, or lack a clear skill set because of consistent job hopping and or a history of short-term employment gigs, and then extensive time out of or away from recent work. All can be red flags. Finally, those who can't respond to the pace of change or who have a poor credit history, or those that are transitioning from military to civilian work, or those having disabilities, medical challenges, or workplace limitations. And lastly, those having background or substance issues. Any one or more of these means you need to be aware of how these obstacles look to an employer. There are many issues to consider, and rarely do I find an individual who has no obstacles or potential barriers. The message is clear, though. You have to get good at looking in the mirror and seeing all of the added value you bring to the employer. You also have to be aware of your barriers, to have a plan and some coaching in place to deal with them. It also means you have to work harder than the competition to stand out in the employer's eyes. You have to assume that there are individuals just as skilled and qualified as you are who are competing for the job. So put your best foot forward and use your best strategies to get the job offer. An individual success plan could include all of the on-screen bullets given your circumstances, including working with a CareerSource CLM career coach, learning how to market yourself by leveraging tips from the Navigate Today's Workplace webinar series, improving your computer proficiency through free online learning courses and assessments that prepare you for the workplace, honing your interview skills and responses through role-play practice interviews before it counts, and following up on the interview to thank the interviewers and demonstrate that you know all the right steps to take to get noticed. In addition, your individual success plan should include a strategy for avoiding critical mistakes, such as not providing complete contact information, or having an email address that is not businesslike or may include numbers that reflect age or year of birth, keeping a voice message on your phone that's not appropriate for a job campaign, or not promoting yourself on social media to your fullest potential. Your resume or online portfolio is your first step in the employer's door. You want to make sure it is the best reflection of your skill set, which means it cannot be only about your work history. Your unique skills and strength for the position must be clearly identified in the resume. And resumes posted in Employ Florida can't be so general in nature or of poor quality, or not identified in a businesslike manner. To learn more about creating a job-specific resume, take our free on-demand online workshop, Job-Specific Resumes, and the link is provided in the description box below. The next step is the application and interview stage. Some major mistakes to stay away from include spending too much time applying for jobs you're not qualified for, or not following the employer's directions for applying to their job posting, because this signals a lack of attention to details, or candidates that are not prepared for behavioral interview questions and who tend to give generalized or canned answers rather than provide specific answers. And you need the specific examples to showcase your fit and preparation for the interview. Our free workshop on interview strategies will delve deeper into how you can weave a great interview answer. Find a link in the description box below. We've talked about how COVID-19 has changed the landscape for job candidates and the labor market. You now have a better sense of some of the obstacles and barriers to employment that could influence whether you get noticed for the job offer. I want to wrap up our discussion by sharing information about the federal bonding program and how you might leverage that knowledge. The federal bonding program has been around and available to employers for many years. Despite that, many employers are not aware of the program, or if they are, they may choose not to take advantage of it. Locally, CareerSource Citrus Levy Marion administers the federal bonding program and works with employers interested in using it. The federal bonding program provides an extra financial security net to employers for hiring candidates who have barriers to employment. It's essentially insurance for their business. While this program isn't a magic bullet, it is a great tool to be aware of and to use to your advantage. You should not attempt to be the expert on the federal bonding program. Your best strategy is to leave that role to the representatives at CareerSource. Just know that it's a really great option for those needing an extra leg up on the competition. When we are aware of a potential hiring, our representative can, upon your request, contact the employer to explain the benefits of the federal bonding program. Some key takeaways about the federal bonding program that you should know are: any new hire can be bonded to the program, even though it was designed specifically for those with barriers to employment. The coverage is free, immediate, and good for 6 months for the employer. You'll still need to focus on your fit for the position, not your barriers, though. Recognize that not all employers will choose to take advantage of it. My suggestion is talk with a CareerSource CLM career coach about when to mention the federal bonding program and when to hold back on it. As an example of how the federal bonding program can help a job candidate struggling to get over their barriers would look something like this. A candidate has a felony background conviction from several years ago and is still on probation. They find a job posting that he or she is a quality fit for and applies for the position using a job-specific resume and strategic cover letter. The application showcases their experiences and provides a concise response to the questions about felony convictions. The candidate gets an invitation to the interview because of his or her skills and qualification that makes him a strong fit. During the interview, the employer was impressed by the job candidate but never brought up any questions about the felony conviction. The individual was prepared to talk about the background issue if the employer discussed it, but because the employer didn't mention it, and neither did the job candidate, since they were already upfront about it in their online application process. The job candidate gets a call from HR offering him or her the position because the hiring manager saw the individual as the top candidate. The job offer details the wage, the benefits, and the start day, and all of that is subject to the usual drug screen, credit report, and background check. The job candidate states that he or she is excited about the offer and ready to get started. The job candidate then states, "Since you mentioned background check, I want you to know, like a lot of individuals, I've made some mistakes in the past. I noted it in my online application. It's what makes me a harder worker than the competition because I have a lot at stake in being successful in this position. Also, I work with the representatives at CareerSource, and I know I'm eligible to be bonded through the federal bonding program. I don't know all the details, but I can have my representative contact you to share those details if you would like. I'm really excited about completing these next steps and getting started on the job." The job candidate should do everything the employer requests to demonstrate follow-through and motivation for the position, and to recognize that even after doing everything right, the employer may decide to withdraw a job offer or not provide one. If the opportunity falls apart, still thank the employer for their interest and consideration, and let them know if the candidate they hired doesn't work out, you are still interested. Realize that you worked hard to get noticed and it worked, even though the outcome wasn't what you hoped for. Know with each interview you're getting better at bringing your resume to life and gaining more experience on how to address your barriers and at the right time. And continue working with your career coach and continue your job search activities. Because individuals with obstacles and barriers to employment often have to work harder to get noticed, it's important to be open-minded to exploring every possible resource, even if some of them don't pan out. In that regard, Some faith-based organizations have outreach programs to help connect job candidates with prospective employers. In addition, educational institutions sometimes have academic and training programs for qualified individuals to help employers fill high-demand positions. Finally, veterans can access a variety of local resources and veteran organizations, including our own veteran staff resources, to get connected and be in the know about employment opportunities. We often find ourselves working with individuals that have a current disability or physical or mental well-being limitations. Others may be recovering from a serious accident or illness, or they simply cannot do the kind of work that they used to do. Most, if not all of these individuals are compelled to reinvent themselves in order to establish their next work opportunity. We routinely work with our local vocational rehabilitation agencies and refer job candidates to their services for assessment and possible workplace training programs. It's a reciprocal relationship, and our staff often works with their clients when they're ready to return to work. We support each other's clients in a variety of ways, including those individuals that are part of the Ticket to Work program. So, to wrap up, you want to make sure you push aside the disappointment or anger of losing out a job opportunity and make sure you talk it out with your career coach. Get better at preparing your job-specific resume and strategic cover letter and get feedback from your career coach. Take advantage of any of our free workshops or webinars that can help you. And if you need to improve upon your computer proficiency, develop a game plan with your career coach on how to leverage free online learning resource. You want to practice your interview skills through role-play interviews with our representatives to keep getting better. And you want to stay focused and get better at seeing the assets you bring to an employer. And then lastly, take advantage of all programs, the federal bonding program and our community resources like vocational rehabilitation that are available to you. In our live workshops, we often have questions that come up, and I want to just capture a few of those to help you out. And first of the question that often happen is, what strategy should I have in completing the employer online application? And my response is this: go slow, not fast. Pay attention to details so your application matches the quality of your job-specific resume and strategic cover letter. If background issues are relevant to you, be sure to read the questions closely and provide an accurate and concise answer that responds to the questions. Be careful you don't say too much or too little. The next question is this: I've seen a letter of introduction about the federal bonding program and wonder if I should use it. And my response is this: be cautious about using the letter early in the application or interview process. It usually suggests to an employer that there may be significant issues. If the employer has plenty of candidates to choose from, you may not even advance in the process or certainly end up with a job offer. The last question is, why can't I get a list of employers who will hire individuals with various workplace issues? And my response is this: most employers don't want to be seen as an employer that will hire just anyone. Since the transition to online applications, the ATS will sort candidates on the skills and qualifications and how you scored based on the requirements indicated in the job posting. Employers expect you to know yourself for the skills and assets you bring to their position. They look to the information in your job-specific resume and strategic cover letter to pique their interest and for you to be the real deal at the interview. The time when an employer is most understanding and flexible about any barrier or obstacles you may have is when they see you as the top candidate for their position. If you have any questions you'd like to run by me, feel free to send me an email at jflanders@careersourceclm.com. If you're not currently working with one of our career coaches, please consider doing so. We welcome working with you either in person or at a distance with our virtual resources. In addition, I invite you to view our 3-part Navigate Today's Workplace webinar series and to hear valuable tips on how COVID-19 has changed the landscape for job candidates, on creating job-specific resumes, and on preparing for today's job interviews. Finally, if you have any questions or would like to set an appointment with one of our career coaches, contact one of our centers by phone or email or through our social media channels. Thank you for participating today. Good luck to you in your job search and your job campaign activities.